Hey guys, it's Lynn, welcome to Lynn's Soapbox. Today the final 2 episodes of Marvel Animation's Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man dropped, and I can confidently say that this show has to be one of the best Spider-Man shows there's ever been.
This show was incredible.
It is so insane to think about how this show was originally supposed to be Tom Holland's MCU origin story, but they decided to scrap that and let it be its own independent thing, which clearly was the right thing to do because this show is so different, but it's so good because of that. Like, everything that we've seen in this show just feels so refreshing. As I mentioned in my first video where I discussed the first 2 episodes, I think the show does such an excellent job at balancing the comics and the MCU. If you're a fan of either one or both, I think this show is perfect because there's a little bit of something for everyone. But let's jump right into the finale because oh my gosh, do I have things to say. Okay, my first comment, the theme song, banger. The episode starts off with Doc Ock, and let me tell you, every time he was on screen throughout this entire show, I adored it. I love how, like, they did his character so right. Like, he holds himself up to, like, this, like, high standard, and he looks at everyone else as, like, ew, like, why are you talking to me? And the fact that, like, he's in a situation where, like, he kind of relies on other people, like, again, how he was selling, like, the weapons and all, so, like, he kind of has to, like, put up with everyone else. I thought it was so funny, such a funny circumstance, and the fact that Norman Osborn went to visit him to kind of rub it in his face, like, oh, by the way, you're in jail because of me. Petty. Oh, it's an ego battle. So I thought it was such a neat detail that the first time we see Peter with, like, his blue and red suit was through Nico's amulet. Like, so good. Also, in my other video, I mentioned how I thought Lonnie was going to be a standout character in this show, and he absolutely was. I love the direction they've taken with his character because, yes, Tombstone is technically a villain in the comics. However, with this Lonnie, like, they made him a lot more complex. He joined the gang to protect his little brother, and throughout the episodes, like, we've seen him become a little bit more comfortable with being a part of this gang. But I love how that didn't automatically make him a villain or a bad person because it's still Lonnie. Like, it's the Lonnie we know that has heart. I love how throughout the show, we're able to see the perspective of how a student and an individual who is so academically successful and athletically successful and is, you know, meant to have such a bright future can have such a drastic change in their life, right? Like, I think that really adds perspective. Okay, now talking about the big fight that happened in episode 9 with Scorpio, let me tell you, this fight was so incredible. I was crying, I was excited, I was happy, I was fearful, like, literally, oh my gosh. Also, I love the fact that they made Scorpio Latino. Like, every time he dropped his little words like araña, and I forgot what other word he said, but it was so satisfying to hear. And let's talk about Lonnie in this scene because oh my gosh, he made me cry.
They got me.
He goes into the truck and there's this, like, gas that, like, essentially is what gives him his powers, right? And then when he gets out of the truck and, you know, he starts helping Spider-Man, like, I was literally just talking about Lonnie and how I thought that they did his character so great. Again, I just love that they didn't automatically make him a villain, right? Like, they're adding so many layers to his character that I love so much. The Lonnie and Peter Parker team up, like, that meant everything to me. Like, that was so good. I am so happy that they got that team up. Hopefully in the future we get to see a little bit more of that. I'm not entirely sure. I'm not sure what they're actually, you know, planning for his character. I don't know if eventually he is gonna go full Tombstone mode, right? And we have that whole moment when Peter's, you know, channeling everything that Norman was saying, and then Lonnie steps in and he's like, he basically stops him from crossing that line, right? Guys, whoa, Jeff, you cooked. So powerful, so impactful. I was sobbing. I thought that was, of course it would have been Lonnie. I'm just, oh, dude, I always love when we get those moments of Peter almost crossing the line, but there's that moment that he has that prevents him from doing that, right? And moments like that are just so good, and we got it here, and I thought it was so well done. And the fact that it was Lonnie, oh my gosh, dude, like, wow. Also, just the fact that Lonnie was able to have this moment of being a hero, it warms my heart. Norman's another thing I wanted to talk about because just like every other character in this show, the way they've done his character, phenomenal. This entire time, they've been gaslighting us because we'll have moments with Norman that is like, oh my gosh, that was so sweet, like, Norman. And then there's moments where he'll do something or say something concerning the little bubble burst, and it's like, oh, reality check, this is Norman Osborn. Norman Osborn. And then in episode 10, it was basically confirmed, because after that little move, like, you cannot back him up anymore. He literally used these kids' projects to supply his project Monolith and then open these portals. Like, dude! Oh, baby girl. And the fact that Norman Osborn is replicated the spider that bit Peter. Cut the cameras. Cut the cameras. This is not looking good for us. In the other episode where Peter got really injured and they were taking his blood, I was like, what are you guys doing with that? Out of curiosity, what are you guys doing? Yeah, we're cooked. We're cooked. It's over. When we saw the Venom creature come in, I was like, oh, like, this is a cute little way to, like, full circle moment, right? Like, this is what happened in the first episode. But then we got more details and learned that that moment was actually what caused Peter to be bit by the spider. So essentially, he's the reason he got bit by the spider, which I don't even know. Time travel breaks my brain, but it's gonna be really interesting to see how this plays a role in future seasons. You know, like, I wonder if this has repercussions, or I don't know, you know? Oh, and also we saw the Watcher in one of the scenes in the sky, which I don't know if that has, like, deeper meaning, or if it's simply, you know, because this is Marvel Animation and what if, so a cute little cameo. Also, I do love the idea of Harry Osborn opening up his own research facility or company, especially considering what Nico said, trying to make it a lot more ethical for the researchers. And I'm very curious to see what Norman's reaction is to that, because in earlier episodes, like, we did start to see that father and son relationship we know from the comics. So really love that this is going to be something that Harry can have for himself, right? Because we learned that he's been homeschooled his entire life and he never really had friends. So hopefully this is, like, a positive direction in his life.
By the way, guys, I forgot to mention this, but Web, which is what Harry is calling his company, is actually a reference to Avengers Campus, which is the Marvel land that is found in California Adventure, one of the 2 Disney parks in California. Within the park, Web is a program that consists of some of the best engineers. So of course, Peter Parker, Moon Girl, Squirrel Girl, even Harley from Iron Man 3. I just thought it was interesting, and I thought I'd mention, because again, I'm not entirely sure if a lot of people are aware, because it is, again, original to the park.
Also, we need to talk about Jeanne, because that girl, oh my gosh. I was like, why did they never clear that up in the other episode, right? Like, why was she lurking around? And this episode cleared everything up. She's working with Daredevil. Daredevil, the devil of Hell's Kitchen himself. That is insane to slap on a resume. She's full on finesse. She has the fit and everything. And then the craziest part of the episode, Aunt May going to visit Richard Parker? Hold on. Richard who? Richard Parker? Girl, what? At first I did think it was Uncle Ben. I was like, ooh, this is about to get juicy. And then, well, he says my son, and then also it says R. Parker, so, you know, there's only one R. Parker, but, like, we never see Richard Parker, the Richard Parker, Peter Parker's father, ever basically represented or adapted onto anything, right? So I think this is just so, like, what are the implications here? What is happening? This is so insane.
Also, the fact that Josh Keaton himself is voicing Richard Parker. Oh my gosh. And by the way, I did watch an interview where the showrunner Jeff Trammell mentions that Peter does know that Richard is alive. That was something that I was a little scared about, because I was like, did May, like, keep this from him? But no, Peter knows he's alive.
Again, guys, this is just so crazy. The show is so different, but in a good way. And I really enjoyed these 10 episodes. I know season 2 and season 3 are basically already confirmed. So, and also to think that there's some kids out there right now that, like, this is gonna be their Spider-Man show. You know, we grew up with Spectacular Spider-Man, Ultimate Spider-Man, etc. But this is gonna be their show. And I think all the characters are so beautifully represented, and I'm just excited for kids to see that and look up to that and just have that, you know? But yeah, guys, I love this show. If you can't tell, I did really enjoy this show, this season. All right, guys, well, that is it for today's video. Make sure to subscribe, like, share, do all the above. And if you want to follow me on my other socials, it's at LeanSoapbox. And I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.